Oh, I wish I had one more USB port on my Mac. Just don't have enough to put everything in. So annoying because I've got my keyboard here for work and I always start typing on it whenever we do the show. And then it doesn't work and I feel stupid because I do it every week without fail.
Do you not have an adapter that could just create more?
I don't. I have thought about it. But...
Right. I haven't really caught much going on this week.
No, it's been a quiet week, man. It's been a quiet week.
That's probably why.
But I'm sure we have a lot to talk about. Simply because, you know,
I could bash on.
We've played a bit this week.
A solid hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can talk about lady bees. Lady bees? Oh, bumblebees.
It's gonna be a good episode, guys. It's gonna be a good one.
Lady bees aren't. That's not a real bug. Sounds sounds sexist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure there are lady bees. The queen bee. You can call me queen
I suppose.
Bee.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Actually, I just remembered. Yeah, if you can turn the jingle down by about 20.
Well, I haven't turned it down by 20. It was at like 11%, and I turned it down to like 5%. So I'm like half.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, cool.
Turn it down by 20. Fucking come on, man. You're not the producer.
Oh, sorry,
just fling random numbers at me.
20%.
Fucking idiot.
All right, let me just post to socials.
Yeah.
Look at this though. Straight into the show. No technical problems.
I know, right?
Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be fine.
Well, I mean, last week was just weird because I switched laptops, and now everything is up on the laptop, as it should be. So yeah, just put up and go. Should be a nice, efficient episode. If you guys are coming for efficiency, you're in the right place.
Yeah. Put us on ×2 talking speed. You know, we will be in and out so fast.
I'm sure people do. I'm sure people will put us on mute and just look at us for our handsome faces as well.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah.
You are the Chris Hemsworth of the group.
Yeah. And you're like the
Elijah Wood.
Hey, Elijah Wood's he's pretty good, man.
He's a bit buggy, isn't he? He's a bit of a buggy person, I think. Well, he's like, you know, he's a good Frodo, but I think he looks a bit buggy. His eyes are a bit big, pop out of his head.
Who do you look like? You do look like
a
someone.
Celebrity.
Yeah, we've talked about this. Who was it? We definitely have.
Have we?
I don't know. I mean, just to clarify though, I'm not Chris. I'm not even close to Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, you are. Just from the neck upwards.
Neck upwards. Yo, I'll still take that because he's a very handsome man, regardless of his physique, which is awesome.
Of his godly physique. Yeah.
He's fucking glorious.
Fucking hell. I mean, I guess we just go.
Yeah, we just start. Yeah, exactly. Just wait for people to flock in. We're not that popular yet, mate.
That's true. One of these days.
Yeah. All right. I'll start jingling. You can get going.
Yeah, let's bloody well do it, mate.
Let's bloody well do it. We are jingling.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to you, everyone. This is Quick Resume episode 71, where we talk about all sorts of gaming stuff, Xbox related, not Xbox related, whatever you want, really. You'll find it right here on this podcast. My name is Deck, and joining me is my good friend.
His good friend Tim. Hello, I'm Tim.
Hello. And we're going to be here for the next hour and a half if you want to hop in the chat and have a chat to us. It's been a really quiet week. It's been a really quiet week for gaming. it's been an incredibly busy week for me, so I'm like a little bit frazzled because the thing is, the problem is I coped with it yesterday by having beer and rum. So now it feels like my brainstem has withered away.
Oh yeah, of course.
And that's
it'll do that. Yeah. I saw. I saw a chat was popping off last night. So what was the lads' game of choice last night in my absence when I wasn't around?
It was. I mean, I'm glad you asked because I was going to bring this up. It was Spiderheck. Spiderheck?
Oh yes, yeah. I've been asked to play that. I mean, to be fair, when they did ask me to play it, we didn't even have like a full group before. It was just like 3 of us, and it was like already like 1 in the morning, so I didn't end up doing it. But yeah, I've heard it's fun.
Yeah, colloquially known as spiders with lightsabers. It's very good. I have to admit, it's a good old time. Yeah, you swing around with your webs. You have lightsabers. You have like shotguns. You know, there are like trip mines, and you're just jumping around trying to kill each other. In my opinion, it's the better tiny animal-based combat game versus worms, which is shit.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like that Nidhogg game that was around with the stickmen, and you used to battle.
Nidhogg.
Yeah, it was called like Nidhogg. We didn't play it much, but it was. I don't think we even played it at all, but it was like everywhere, like online and stuff.
Was it on Xbox or was it just on PC?
It might have just been on Steam. But it's basically the same principle, but you play a stickman.
It was a good time.
Yeah,
it's a good time. It's chaos. You can throw your sabers out. You can call them back like a Jedi.
Oh, wow.
Stupid. A lot of fun.
Yeah. No, it definitely does look fun. Yeah. Nice.
And then we went to Rocket League, and mate, I popped off. Not gonna lie to you. I was at my best. Clearly, rum does something to my brain and my body, which makes me good at Rocket League, which is
as you just float in real life from the drunkenness, you can float and fly better.
Exactly.
In Rocket League. It makes sense.
I levitate just a few centimeters off my sofa.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Just a few, no more. I don't want to use all my powers up.
Nice. So what you guys are like playing Chads, or were you doing private matches for Rocket League?
We did a bit of both, and we should clarify just to the listeners, when we say Chads, that's 4v4 because it's chaos mode. But for like ages ago, I misread it as Chads, and I was like, why is it called Chads? So now we call 4v4 Chads.
It's Chads, dude.
Instead of chaos.
You got to be Chads to play it as well.
Yeah, exactly. All good stuff, man. So enough about us. Tell us about you. What's your gamer brain been up to?
Tell us about you.
Us as in
how
us.
Many personalities do you have? Dude?
I'm not talking to Tim A anymore. I would like to talk to Tim B. Come out.
All right. Okay. Tim B's coming out.
Tim G, I guess.
It's been a pretty normal week for me, to be honest. Nothing too crazy. I did spend the entirety of Thursday moving house for my brother, and I shit you not, man. Like, oh my god, I'm still achy today, and it happened on Thursday. Like, oh my god, so much lifting. Like all the wardrobes and beds and sofas and all that kind of stuff, getting those upstairs. And he's got like stairs that turn. So you go up and there's like a landing, and it's like shit, man. Getting like giant wardrobes like up there, that was rough. That was real rough.
It's rough.
Yeah.
And did you have to get any like any machinery up there, like a washing machine? Like I'm assuming it's a 2-floor place they're moving into.
Yeah, it's a 2-floor place. No, we didn't need to get
probably
any,
not.
washing machine or anything like that in. But
like sofas and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was just so much lifting, dude. Even just like the massive boxes and stuff. It's just so heavy when it's filled with like kitchenware and stuff like that. It was mental, dude. I was proper sweating buckets, and it was cold, and I was sweating. Like it's just yeah.
I hope you were using your knees.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah, my back's fine. Yeah.
You turn up to the podcast today, and you're like,
yeah.
You're like you got crooked back.
I've learnt my lesson, not to lift with your back. That shit's rough. If you don't lift properly the next day, it is nasty. So my legs and my arms were just killing me, really. But yeah, that was really everything exciting that happened in my personal life this week. Gaming wise, we were just. I mean, we kind of have been just mainly just playing Grounded, right? And I guess Grounded is going to come up in our honorable mentions. We might as well talk about it now.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and just before we get into that, by the way, there is a plumber just outside doing work on the bathroom here. So if you do hear some noise, I do apologize, but plumber's got to do what plumber's got to do. So,
it's got to do. Exactly.
We need plumbing.
But we can expect that he'll plumb the Ethernet cable out of the router.
Of course.
Just by oops.
Yeah, very natural. Yeah. Yeah. The router is plugged in next to the toilet and shower. So
yeah, that's right.
So we were playing tons of Grounded. Obviously Grounded got its full release on Tuesday last week?
I think it was, Yeah,
normally things drop on Tuesday. I think it was. So yeah, we've been playing that loads, and that's been really fun. It's been. I've never been like massive on these sort of survival games, like even Minecraft included and stuff like that. I've always been that person where I can play it for a little bit and have fun, and then I just slowly lose interest. That hasn't happened yet, but I just slowly lose interest and just start to just grief. I'm one of those people, just to find entertainment.
That's right. Where's our base? Why is there a crater where my base used to be?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I haven't reached that yet. But that's been great fun, and the game's been met with really good reception, as it has throughout its entire preview. But like the full launch, as well seems to be going pretty well critically. So what do you think of Grounded, Deck?
Yes, yeah, I think it's very good. It's currently sitting on an 84 on OpenCritic, which is just, I think it's brilliant. Obviously the game's been in preview program, early access, whatever, for like 2 years now. And we know it's Obsidian's team, which is like 20 people or less. It started with like 4 or 5 people, and there's just been built upwards from there. And I suppose before we actually start speaking about the game itself, because this is a first party release, like it feels a bit weird to say that because it has been out for a while, but this is a full 1.0 first party Xbox release, and it's been received really well, which is great. And there are lots of people now jumping into the game that haven't really heard of this game before, because it's popped into Game Pass, I suppose, and a lot of people who that's gained a lot of traction, and so people are looking at it there. I think my point is more that it speaks to, I think, the culture, if that's the right word, that Xbox is sort of trying to cultivate around its studios. Yeah, sure, you can make a you can have 5 people to go and make a game about being fucking bugs, being tiny, being the size of bugs, and being a survival game. And yeah, 2 years later, that's a full game. That's a full game that scored 84 on OpenCritic. That's that's in the top end of like the top percentages, the top percentiles, really, in terms of meta aggregate reviews. So yeah, really good. I'm really happy for the team. We know it's Obsidian. Just do good stuff, man. They just do good stuff.
Yeah, they do.
And I think coming back around to what you were saying before about survival games, because it just reminded me when we used to play Minecraft, and we would hit that point of kind of fatigue, I think.
Yeah.
Usually I think the reason is because a lot of these survival games start to lose direction. Like they just have the progression just becomes get to the next tier of material, and that's it. Upgrade your axe to a stone axe, upgrade your stone axe to a metal axe, upgrade your, and it's just kind of that a bit, like past a certain point. And that I think starts to get tedious eventually. But what I have seen people mention, which I think is a really good point, is that Grounded actually has an end. Of course, you can keep playing after that end, but you have an objective. And I think that's actually quite a unique thing for a survival game. Like the objective is to get all the chips. Like they're scattered around the garden, get all the chips, and you'll get the ending. And I think that's a good motivator for people to keep playing rather than to just be like, guess I've just got to keep upgrading my base and going out and killing more ladybugs, you know.
Yeah.
Other than me like watching Tim get a pet dog in game and then burying that dog so that he can't find it when he comes back to base.
Yeah, exactly. There's definitely more to this game. I think personally, than Minecraft, which is crazy to say because Minecraft is massive. But I just feel like, just in terms of just the things you can build and stuff like that, like I've never seen some of this stuff in survival games before.
Yeah,
it's all very unique and quite cool. And you know, there's like, I mean, Minecraft has it as well with like the enchantments and stuff like that and all the weapons, but like the RPG element on the weapons to just build something that has like poison or an armor set that's better at blocking or a, you know, all this sort of stuff. It's just really cool. It just adds to the whole, you know, it not fatiguing as fast. Although I do think I'm gonna hit that stage at some point. Because as much as like I have been enjoying it all week and playing it all week, I've never been quite like, oh shit, let's clock off work, let's get on to grounded. I'm fucking pumped. We're gonna play this for like 6 hours. I'll go on it, but I've never been like ecstatic to just boot it up and just be like, let's fucking go. But yeah, no, yeah, it's probably like a solid like, yeah, I'd probably agree with the reviews. It's probably like a solid 8 for me right now, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely been enjoying it as something that a lot like 4 of our friends can kind of play together, and I think they've done a good job with like kind of the hosting, like the saves. You just share your saves with people, and you can anyone can just boot into it anytime. I think that really reduces the friction that some of these survival games have, where it's like, oh, we need to wait for person X to be online to open the world, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But definitely speaking to what you were saying before, I think like the sheer creativity of it all definitely keeps it fresh. Like I'm with you there, and like there are some things. There's a lot of very cool systems and mechanics in there. Like there's like a full-on RPG system, like Skyrim. It's like Skyrim bug edition, like to a degree, like survival bug edition. You know, you get mutations, which are essentially skills which happen organically. You know, via you hit a threshold on a certain thing that you've done. You know, like an invisible threshold.
Yeah,
like build
like
1,000 items or
like
run 100 miles.
Yeah, like when we cleared
centimeters.
that fucking ant's nest that had like 500 ants in it, and we just slaughtered so many.
Yeah.
We've got a mutation that allows us to do more damage to ants. So, you know, done.
Yeah. And you've got that, your mutations, which you can pick 2 of to start with, and then you can upgrade that to pick more. So that's, you kind of have your build, and you can have different people in the world having different like roles and classes, which is very cool for a survival game. And then you can find teeth, like molars, can't you? Like teeth around the place, which you smash open, and you can put points in directly from that. And then there's the equipment as well, which is like got to be the funniest part. Again, like speaks to the creativity. Like, like you kill bees, you get a bee stinger, and then you can make a spear out of a bee stinger. What does it do? It stuns people, like bugs. Of course it does. You kill a mosquito, you get a mosquito needle, you turn it into like a rapier. What does it do? It has a life steal. Of course it has a life steal. Like it's just ridiculous, but it makes sense. It's like they had all of these things on a whiteboard that they wanted out of a like an RPG style game. And then they were like, okay, how can we make this work with bugs? Yep, bees do stun, mosquitoes do lifesteal. Spiciness does fire damage. You know, like chilies. It's just ridiculous, and it would just like every time we find something new like that, I just find myself giggling. Like how? Like, it's just so funny.
Yeah, it kind of just works, and you can kind of just picture it all yourself as well. Like when I see those like fireflies and like torch bugs and stuff like that, I'm thinking like, oh, like maybe we could like make like a flashbang with those or something like that. You know, you can kind of start to piece it together yourself and like kind of predict it a little bit, which is just cool. Yeah, agreed.
Well, I think it really does speak to like kind of the cohesiveness of the world design as well. Like, if you want something and you think using your real brain, not your gamer brain, you can probably figure out how to get that thing. Like if you're like, oh, I need spiders. Where in the map are we going to find spiders? You think about it, like moist, dark places. Let's wait till night. Let's go to somewhere like maybe at the bottom of a hedge or like at the base of a tree, yes, that will make sense. You will find those things there. Where will we find mosquitoes? By the water? Yeah, we'll find mosquitoes. Like all of that just makes sense. And so I think it's just very clever. I have very few big complaints about Grounded. That's the thing. It all works with like the actual systems in the game works really well. There's like a couple of bugs, the technical bugs, the bad type, here and there. There's like a little bit of occasional jankiness.
Some lag sometimes,
but nothing.
lag.
Yeah,
but I think that
some
just
occasional like server
when,
lag, rubber banding.
I think that just happens when servers like refresh or like transition a little bit, sort of similar to how like Sea of Thieves does it. But then obviously it's not like it's not like a shared world though. You're not playing with other randoms. But I just think it's just something the server does every set amount of time, maybe, because it really doesn't happen often. But you just get some pretty bad rubber banding sometimes. Like for like a solid like 30 seconds, you just can't get in your house. It just keeps throwing you back out. And then it goes. But yeah,
it's but overall, yeah, I think it's very good. I'd probably be putting it in the similar range to the reviews. I think maybe I'd consider it like an 8.5, because I know there's so much more. Like it's so content packed. Like I'm not joking when I thought that the world was kind of similar to Elden Ring, in the sense that I realized there's a zoom out button, which is on Y for some reason. So weird. Anyway, I did that and I was like, the world just kept going. And I was like, I can't believe we've only explored this little bit.
Yeah.
Like in terms of what we've explored in our world, I think we've only looked at like 30%.
Really?
It's massive. Yeah. And like I've seen a lot of reviews and people saying that they've played the game for like 60 hours and they're still finding new enemies, new biomes. And it's like that. That's just very cool. Mm-hmm. So I think, I think it's a lot of fun, and more than anything, I'm glad we got a chance to have like a good crack at it and get some friends on that have otherwise just been talking shit about the game for the last 2 years because it looks like a silly game, but it's not. It's like a fairly hardcore survival game wrapped in a silly aesthetic that doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, the combat's very kind of like the combat's pretty clean as well. Like it's not bad.
Yeah.
There are some fights which annoy. I stand by the fact that I hate fighting bees. Like I think fighting bees is just shit in that game. You just look up and swing and like hope you hit it, and you're like jumping, and I just don't like it at all. So there is some jankiness involved, but like low key, like the combat's like as good as like Skyrim. It's basically Skyrim.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's decent.
Get yourself a shield. You can block. You can parry. There's like an armor set which is like increased damage after blocking. The ladybug set which you've got is like increased blocking, like resistance and stuff like that. So that you can have all these builds. So it's funny that it's just funny that it like on the surface it looks like a silly baby survival game, but it's really not. Like I don't think I could give this game to a new player, like someone who doesn't game much, like my wife. I don't think I could just give this to her and like I think she'd struggle. Like I don't think the game's easy.
Yeah.
Obviously you can whack the difficulty down and stuff like that, but it's been a really good time. I wholeheartely recommend it, and I'm really glad the team got to kind of see this vision through to the end. They clearly, hopefully, they're going to keep supporting it, because this is one of the best survival games out there at the moment. To be honest, I can't think of a direct competitor
aside from Minecraft.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, I guess aside from Minecraft,
I mean PC has like Rust and Daisy and all that sort of stuff, which are pretty popular, I think still. But yeah,
I suppose. I guess in my head,
all those
there
are competitors. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, without doubt there are competitors. I guess maybe I should rephrase that. I think Grounded stands toe to toe with them. So. Yeah, I think that's great. I guess the shared world survival one's kind of in my head sitting as a slightly different genre, but I don't know.
Yeah,
like Ark, so. Rust. Is Conan shared world? Conan Exiles.
I don't actually know. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm not actually sure. I don't think it is. No, I think it is actually.
So yeah. But Yeah, that's grounded, no doubt. Stands toe to toe with some of the best survival games out there. If you like that aesthetic, it's very novel, it's very creative, it's very funny. Like I said, I more laugh at the kind of dialogue and the creativity of it. I still can't get over that I'm using a mosquito rapier that gives me lifesteal. Like, it just makes me laugh every time.
It's great.
But overall, yeah, we're both very impressed. And I think it's a good. In a dry 2022, I think it's good that that Microsoft, Obsidian, and managed to get this out the door. So yeah, big ups to the team.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, it's definitely good that it got past the finish line, and and they got praise for it. It's good.
Although it does remind me of a certain tweet from a certain journalist from a certain very big outlet.
I remember this. Yeah, why don't they just stop working on games like like Grounded and put more work into Avowed, wasn't it? He said.
Yeah, it was Avowed. Yeah, get them off that and get them on Avowed and Elder Scrolls so that they come out sooner. And I'm not going to go on a witch hunt for people who don't know who said that. But it's a journalist I otherwise like, and I'm really surprised he hasn't, like, maybe he did delete the tweet, or maybe he has since condemned his own tweet. But it was like, it's such a weird thing to say, especially now that we're finally at the finish line and it's been received as well as it has.
Bit sus. Well, I say
it's a bit sus
personally, but yeah.
I say, can't control. Bring me his head.
Yeah. I can't control our audience. Get him.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. Well, we've got a couple of people in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Christopher. Hi, Timmer. Hi, Joaquin. Hope you're all doing good today. Been a fairly quiet week, I'm sure you'll agree. So if you've got anything that you want us to talk about, get it in the chat. I wanted to touch on October, Tim. October is finally, things are happening now. It's been dry for the last 6 months, really. With the occasional thing here and there, at least on the the Xbox side of things. But now this month we've got Marauders, Medieval Dynasty, Coral Island, Evil, Scorn, Dyson Sphere program, sorry, A Plague's Tale Requiem, Norco, Persona 5 Royale, Signalis, Gunfire Reborn, and The Legend of Tianding. That's all happening this month. Obviously the premier things being there really are Scorn, Plague Tale.
Yeah.
Persona and Gunfire Reborn, maybe that's just me. I've just got my eyes more on that one.
Yeah, that looks good. That's that animal one, isn't it? Like roguelike.
The multiplayer roguelike.
Yeah, that looks good. I didn't realize that was this month. Actually, that's kind of hype. I'm pretty excited.
Last day of the month on Halloween.
Nice.
So yeah, things are happening now, and then we'll move into November, where we've got Pentiment. I feel like something else is happening in November as well. December, hopefully at the end of it, we'll see. Hopefully we'll have Darktide, Weimar Darktide, that got pushed back to December for PC, and then they said it will come shortly after to consoles. Hopefully that's still December, but remains to be seen. I think it'll be pushed into early 23.
Yeah, but if it was pushed to December for PC, they're not gonna, and they said later for consoles, it won't be December for consoles as well. It'll be at least a month, at least.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see. It can be added to the 365 games for next year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is a real shame, because as much as I want to play Darktide, there are some bigger hitters next year than Darktide. And I think that would have been a perfect game to play towards the back end of this year. So
absolutely perfect.
It's a shame, but I'm sure we'll still find time for it. But
yeah, agreed. And then of course we've got Overwatch coming out next Tuesday as well. Overwatch 2, which is the marketing campaign has picked up. There's been launch trailers. Overwatch, the Twitter account has been dropping information, which for the most part has been met with mixed reception, because
it's the normal pissy stuff, isn't it? People are getting pissed off about with the free-to-play shit. Or $20 for a skin. It's just like, okay, we've been down here. This road.
We've done this.
every free-to-play title does it. Simmer down. You don't have to buy it.
Well, the two big things I've seen, which have been a bit silly, I think. Well, maybe not. But the first thing is that the game requires you to put in an SMS like SMS, but your telephone
yeah,
number,
they
right,
record
essentially.
all game chat, don't they, or something?
Yeah, game
Constantly.
chat is being recorded on the back end, and these two things are both for the same reason. Really, it's to reduce toxicity, to reduce cheating, to reduce smurfing.
Yeah.
It remains to be seen. I think it's a good idea, but I understand that people feel it's a bit uncomfortable with privacy. But I still fall back to this thing when people make these privacy arguments. Do you have a smart home device? Do you have a smartphone? Because you're aware that your smartphone listens to you because you know it adjusts, it adjusts what you see. So I guess I don't know why this is the line that's drawn for some people. I understand that smartphones is kind of all encompassing and maybe that's a requirement for day-to-day life, but I feel like we're already past that point, where some things are being recorded for your safety. It's not like the data's being used malevolently. And also, just don't be a dick in game chat. I don't know, do people really want to say offensive slurs in Overwatch 2 that badly? And it's just a bad look to be upset about this, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's kind of weird, the whole privacy thing, isn't it? Because I'm completely okay with this sort of stuff. If anything, when smart devices, and even to an extent like what Overwatch are going for, these devices listening to you and them listening to you and stuff like that, it's to make your overall experience better, right? Like you said, they're not using it maliciously or anything like that, and it's just I don't mind getting personalized ads on my phone and stuff like that, because maybe it's something I need. It's literally personalizing it for me. It's not a big deal. I still have the choice to spend my money on it. They're just giving me the little nudge. I don't know. I've always been kind of okay with privacy from that standpoint, but I know a lot of people get so weird about it. But it's just there for.
It's like, why is Amazon recommending me weight loss tablets? Fuck you, man.
Yeah. Well,
I'm upset.
This has done that for you. Oh dear.
No. I've actually been offered. I've been offered muscle and penis reduction tablets.
Oh really? No way.
Yeah, I mean, clearly,
I think I get the same.
It's a problem.
It's crazy. Yeah, I also got one for plastic surgery to make me uglier.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, this is. They really are. You know what? Maybe this is too far. I hate Overwatch now.
Yeah, Overwatch toxic. But yeah, it's the same old thing, isn't it? It's the same old free to play crap. I don't really have an issue with it. And to be honest, I remember people were quite happy with the Overwatch Battle Pass, all things considered. I think people were quite happy with the value that was in that, weren't they? So I don't know, the Battle Pass seems good.
With
value.
The
what? The Battle Pass, the
new one.
Yeah, Overwatch 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people were quite happy with that and the value that came from it. So, I don't know. You just can't. The value isn't everywhere. You're getting value from the game being free to play. So shut up. Come on.
The other angle to this, beyond privacy, the thing that people were complaining about is that for new players, heroes were locked into the progression, the leveling system. So not the battle pass, but into the leveling system, I think. Some new characters are being put into the battle pass. I think. I can't remember exactly. That might just be for new players as well. And that's got people's, put a bit of a bee in their bonnet, because, the idea is that new players won't have immediate access to all the heroes, and therefore they're going to be at immediate disadvantage.
It's the same.
But all games do that.
Yeah,
I don't
Valorant
understand.
does it, Apex does it.
But even if we think about games with guns, just Call of Duty 4, right? Everybody talks about that game like it's the pinnacle of modern gaming. You had to unlock guns. Are you at a disadvantage because you couldn't use,
that gun to a level
sniper?
27? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't personally see it, and I think people kind of are overestimating how much the counter system works in Overwatch. My understanding is that in Overwatch 2, they've actually reduced it further so that there aren't as many hard counters. And I don't think there were that many hard counters, really, in the first Overwatch. But
like Winston to
I
like
think
Genji. That's a hard counter.
I don't think it's hard though. I would say it's like a soft counter.
He can't do anything.
You can still play Genji around Winston.
Yeah, I guess if you're like a cracked ass Genji, but like the fact is it nullifies so much of his kit. It's kind of crazy.
Just to deflect.
But yeah,
and it's got good chase, I suppose. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know.
But it's what I mean on that on that continuum of counters. You know, if it was like 0 to 10 and 10 is hard, I would say most Overwatch counters, even the hardest ones, fall in the maybe 5 or 6 range, and then the rest maybe fall in the 3 or 4. But my understanding is that in Overwatch 2 they've tweaked that, the balancing, etc., to make that less so that it less feels like a big game of rock paper scissors. So even if it was by Overwatch 1 standards, I don't feel like that's a big enough problem to put off new players who only have access to essentially beginner characters. Yeah, and it'll be like Soldier, maybe be Cassidy, maybe Winston, Reinhardt.
You'll have all the original. You'll have everything unlocked that was in the original Overwatch, right? Or is that still play to unlock, like some of them, like Ash or something like that?
If you're a returning player, if you've played Overwatch 1, you will get access to all of them.
Okay, all right, I see.
It's only if you're a new player and you've never touched an Overwatch game before that you have to unlock them a little bit. And a lot of people are really, having a real bad time with that. And I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And the thing is, the people complaining about it aren't new players; they're returning players. So,
I mean, it does come into play with the fact that there is like a gameplay standpoint from it as well, like the fact that you might be facing a lot of the same team and not many like team comps that like spice up the game. You know, like you might just load into a game and be like, oh well, we're going to be against the same 5 we were against the last 3 games because that's all the characters they have unlocked. You know, it doesn't create that difference in matches. Like, am I going to load in? And is there going to be a Sombra? Is there going to be a Genji? You know, it's just like you kind of just, you know, at least for the first like few like set amount of levels. So you can argue it from that standpoint as well. You'll just be facing the same people, and it might get a bit stale for a little bit. But
yeah, fair enough. I think that's good though. I think it's good that generally beginners want to have a restricted. Do you know what I mean? Like a limited experience, and then it will ramp up slowly. That's the whole point.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like the passionate fan base is maybe getting a bit like wrapped up in itself and getting angry about things that it really doesn't need to. I mean, we'll see. I played a bit of the Overwatch 2 beta, whenever it was, a couple months ago, and it felt really good. I can't really speak to the long-term playment because they've reduced it down to 5v5 rather than the 6v6. And the objective there was to stop choke, from my understanding, to stop like choke holds going on so long, where you just are pinging back and forth down the same choke, trying to get a pick and then trying to push through or waiting for ults to come up.
Quite a bit.
And that happened a lot. And it was fun. Like, it was fun. I still thought that was fun, but I can understand them wanting to make adjustments so that it's a bit more of a fluid game. So nonetheless, we're both very excited for Overwatch 2, are we not?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm very excited now, like genuinely, and I think a large part of that is just the new healer that got announced. She's like a combat healer, Kiriko, and I think she's just right up my alley in terms of like gameplay style and exactly what I want to play. So that just got me really excited. There are loads of characters I want to try though, like all the new ones, like that Junker Queen looks really fun. I don't even know what she does, but
she was awesome. Yeah. She was so fun. Yeah. She had like a lot of damage over time was her thing. She had like a throwing knife that did dart. She was just very fun.
Yeah, so there's so many characters to enjoy, and then old ones to return to, like my good old Reinhardt. I was a bit of a Reinhardt main in the first Overwatch. I love me a bit of Reinhardt. So
lad.
I'm very excited. But yeah, so is it what, like 6 o'clock on Tuesday? Games Pass is kind of weird with its release times, isn't it?
It's not Game Pass, it's just free to play, isn't it? But it's coming out for us for us, it's coming out at 8 p.m., which is I've agreed to play a badminton match on that day, so I'm not going to bother on Tuesday. I'll be around for the rest of the week. But
shit.
I don't know if you'll be able to. I think it's a global release. I hope you're right because I can play a bit in the day. But I'm probably not going to bother playing a Tuesday night. But I'll be around for the rest of the week and the weekend. So
sweet.
All right. Well, that's enough of that. I want to move on because I've been neglecting the chat a bit and I've been trying to reply, but we've had some interesting stuff here, which Timur and Joaquin have been talking about. But there has been a bit of talk about Saudi Arabia, the government of Saudi Arabia, wanting to buy a publisher, supposedly spending, I think it was 15 bill on a publisher. And we don't know what publisher that is. And we don't know how far in the process that is. But they've now realized that gaming's big. Gaming make big money. And the question is, what publisher could that be that's worth 15? Because it's not things like your EAs, your Ubisoft, too big. Yeah. Things like your Capcoms.
I think Capcom.
Maybe.
I think Capcom is within that bracket. I think. I mean, they've got some big uns. Don't get me wrong, and they've been around for a while. You know, like the Resident Evils and the Monster Hunters, and they have a couple fight games as well. I don't know. I forgot.
I think they would be worth more. Actually, thinking about the IP that they have, I think they would be worth more.
I don't know. 15 bill's a lot, man. I mean, Bethesda 7. You can argue Bethesda has some insane IPs, dude.
That's true.
I'd say Capcom is within that. I think.
So I suppose, because I'm looking here at what else the guys and girls have said in the chat, and Timur has said it maybe Embracer Group, you know,
okay. They're
swallowing
like
up all the tiny studios,
stuff like that.
That's right. That's right. They own Gearbox as well, I think. It's one of the big ones. But they've bought up loads of small studios. Ghost Ship Games is another one that stands out. The developers of Deep Rock Galactic. They have loads. They got Tripwire. I think we spoke about this a few weeks back. Tripwire Studios, who made Maneater. Maneater, is that what it's called? The shark game.
Oh yeah.
The shark game, so you have to say. And Timur said that they have a 6.31 billion market cap. So it would be an overbuy, I guess, about 15 bill. But I think these are all good shouts. And it's just a bit, I think other people had spoken about how this would affect the publisher that they buy. Is this going to invoke any censorship at all? And I think there's a good argument to be made there that Saudi Arabia, but are known, to censor bits and bobs of movies, games, usually on religious grounds. And so there's something to be said about that. So I think, there are some people quite rightfully raising their eyebrow at this sort of purchase and say, oh, well, I don't know if I want the next Resident Evil to not have any blood. Or something like that, not have any decapitations, whatever it is. So it's something that the community, I think, is just watching at the moment.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and how they've just straight out come out and just be like, yeah, well, when they just drop 15 bill, it's kind of crazy.
All that oil money, mate. Oil money, they're making bank on it at the moment.
Yeah, why not? You just woke up
economy,
and thought 15 bill. I can spare that.
Now, Timur has just informed me, right? So ZeniMax was 8.1 million. Ubisoft has a market cap of 3.5. I am shocked.
What? Ubisoft 3.5? Really?
Are you missing a zero there by any chance? or have I just grossly misunderstood this? I would have thought Ubisoft was bigger in value than Bethesda. Because they have so many, they've got such a big team.
And even ZeniMax. What's ZeniMax? 8.1.
Yeah, well, that's about what Xbox bought them for, so yeah, it makes sense.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I just expected with the amount that Ubisoft put out that their revenue is higher. I mean, I guess their costs are higher as well. I guess maybe their profit isn't as high as I thought they were. And then we know they've been on a bit of a critical decline for 5, 6, 7, 8 years now. And maybe that's actually had a bit of a bleed through onto their revenue more than I thought it had. But yeah, what?
Yeah.
I love having Timmer in the chat because he just knows.
Yeah,
It's just like a
he's
wealth
just
of knowledge.
a stat machine. He loves it.
He's a stat machine. He is. That's great.
Yeah. But what's your like sort of gut feeling behind this, or do you not really have one if you were to make a prediction?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I'm struggling to think of things that fall into that 15 bill range. Like it might be like a mobile publisher. You know, it might be like a one of these publishers that just does a lot of gacha games. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody who doesn't know anything about gaming is trying it, like the government of Saudi Arabia trying to buy into it. They would just be looking at the numbers and they'll be like, "Oh, look at these gambling games disguised as video games, right? They're making a lot of consistent cash. Let's buy them." True. So whereas something like Embracer, while they have a lot of studios, a lot of their games are like single player games. I think like a lot of the studios that they've purchased are like indie or single A or double A studios that make one and done games, which is great, but I don't think that's going to be a consistent performance for someone to buy into. Who maybe doesn't know much about the landscape.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, agreed.
And this is worth keeping in mind, Tim, because we have some news about Xbox buying a Japanese publisher. So keep your publisher brain turned on. You know,
okay,
we'll be coming back to this.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you very briefly about the finals. I did tag you on Twitter about this. The finals was a battle royale game announced this week that looked like a Battlefield meets Apex battle royale.
It looked mental. It
did. There's a lot of excitement about this. There's been some I think it's been played by some outlets and some journalists, and they've said that they were really impressed with what they played. The destruction looked off the charts. It really reminded me of like kind of what Crackdown 3 should have been.
Yeah.
Obviously not a battle royale first person shooter, but I mean in terms of the destruction. It had this real next gen feel to it, and I'm quite excited to see more.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did watch the trailer you tagged me in. Yeah, man, it looks great. It looks really, really good. And even like just the first person like shooter mechanics, you can definitely see like a lot of like DICE DNA in it as well, with just like the way the guns looked and felt, like recoil wise and stuff like that. And I mean, we've never been huge DICE gamers, like we've never been like massive on Battlefield, but like, you know, I've always appreciated that they have a pretty nice shooting style to them. But yeah, we just kind of dropped off the FPS market for like realistic shooters like that. I think. But yeah, no, it looks really, really cool, man. This is definitely on my radar. It's not till quite a bit into next year or something, is it? Or it hasn't even got a release date, or?
Yeah, I don't know. They're doing play tests, and the trailer they released was an alpha trailer, so it makes me think that it's not till next year at least. It's a bit of a weird time to just drop a trailer for it, actually, to be honest. I'm surprised they didn't save it for like the Game Awards at the end of the year or anything. But
no, it's definitely quite it definitely looks very, very interesting, to say the least. Is it like does everyone know what kind of battle royale it is? Is it like a 3v3? Is it like a go in with squads? You can go in solo. Like, is that any of that been leaked, or is that kind of just?
These are all great questions. I'm on the website right now, and what it says is, join the finals, the world-famous free-to-play combat-centered game show. Fight alongside your teammates in virtual arenas that you can alter, exploit, and even destroy. Build your own playstyle in this first-person shooter to win escalating tournaments and lasting fame. So it doesn't really give you that
teammates. Does say that.
I would expect it's 3. It's 3, but maybe they'll do a 4-person mode. You know, I think it's just like Warzone and PUBG. Do they have 4-person modes?
Yes, they do. Yeah. Well, I definitely know Warzone does. Not sure about PUBG, but I'm pretty sure they both do.
Because really, Apex is the only. It's kind of lagging behind a bit in that regard.
Well, I don't know. It's not lagging behind. I just think they're quite set on the formula they wanted to do, and plus it's unique in that regard, isn't it? The fact that it's only threes or twos, and I think
Yeah, but you can. I think you can have. Yeah, and that's fine. I think you can have 3 as a premier mode, but I understand they did duos because they thought, oh, that way we can cater for teams of 2 and teams of 4 by splitting them up.
Yeah.
But all I know is that me personally, I would play the game. It would be quite enjoyable to have a 4-person mode.
I also think
because we have a group of 4 friends.
I completely agree, but I also just think Apex with squads of 4 would be fucking chaos as well. Like
long team fights,
with like everyone's abilities all coming into play. Just 8 people fighting is the smallest fight you'll get, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, when third parties roll in and fourth parties and stuff like that, which happen all the time, they'll be rolling in with 4 people. That's going to be mental, dude. I think that's probably why that they held off on it as well, just because of the style of game it is. I think it would just become a massive clusterfuck if you were to make squads of 4.
Yeah, and I think that's fine though. It's like Rocket League. We'd call it Chads. It'd be chaos mode. That's me personally. I think obviously the game is balanced for 3 players on the team, and that's absolutely fine. But clearly they don't want a 4-player mode right now, probably because of population. But I feel like the game is doing well enough to accommodate it. But essentially what I'm trying to get at is that I think a lot of these games would benefit from having 4-player modes, because I know we're not the only group of friends who have this difficulty where they have 4 friends, or it's a 3-person and they have 5. So we'll have to wait and see. But I imagine it is 3-person as the primary mode, at the finals. That is.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, lovely. And the last honourable mention for this week is that Scorn is getting an earlier release date than was originally planned. It's been moved forward. Doesn't happen, does it?
Wow.
From October the 21st to October the 14th.
Whoa.
You think you'll play Scorn?
I think I'll play Scorn. Yeah. I think I'll boot it up, especially as I like to do Spooktober. I've already watched several horror movies already in October. I quite like to just binge the horror genre over the course of October. So yeah, I think I'll give it a go, and I'll bring a bucket with me, and
I was going to say, yeah,
I'll have a great time. Looks gross.
Yeah. Yes, it does look gross. It's very body horror, and it definitely has Skill Up did a good video on it about kind of it's very much unique. It stands on its own aesthetically, without a doubt, as a video game, that is. But I'm not sure how this game is going to perform critically. I reckon this is a low 70s game.
I think we predicted 70s. Yeah.
It's just going to be polarizing because of it's very slow. It's not a shooter. It's a puzzle survivor sort of game, survival game sort of. So yeah, we'll see how it does. I'm excited to see it, because that's obviously at least a timed exclusive, I think, which has been in development for like a decade. Like, it's been going on for ages. Like, it had an early access, like I think Patreon, like ages back. And it's just kept going on live support until finally it got funding through Microsoft, and probably some other parties along the way as well. But yeah.
It definitely definitely looks interesting.
Okay. So the major bit of news, really, it's on the tin of the episode today. It's the title, or one of them anyway. Is that Xbox allegedly has been speaking to some Japanese publishers, and this is coming from Imran Khan, who's a fairly reliable insider. I guess he's a journalist, but he used to be on Kind of Funny. He's now on Giant Bomb. But he said, quote, Microsoft have been I've been in talks with major Japanese publishers about acquisitions. I can't speak on how far those talks got, but they have talked and they are very interested in Japanese publishers and smaller development studios. Now, tying this back a couple of weeks, we spoke about Platinum as a studio that we think they'd be interested in, even after the faux pas with Scalebound, and conversations possibly going on there. But stepping this up to publishers, what makes sense for Microsoft? Just to list off a few names for you. I've got it on the thumbnail. Bandai Namco, Capcom, Koei Tecmo, Konami, Sega, Atlas, Square Enix. Those are just a handful of some of the big Japanese publishing names.
Yeah.
What do you think makes sense if they are looking to get involved with one?
I think the two I'd pick that makes sense would be either Capcom or Bandai. I think.
Why?
I just think Capcom have quite a lot of nice IPs, I guess, that just Xbox I think are kind of missing in regards where I feel like we could bolster out a few more single player IPs that I think Capcom can kind of help with that. And I also think just Monster Hunter. Getting Monster Hunter, it would be ridiculously big. Especially to sort of help your growth in the Japanese market as well, because Monster Hunter is just so big over there. So yeah, and then Bandai Namco, I think mainly for the fighting genre and just stuff like that. They do, Bandai do quite a lot of fighting games, don't they? Bandai Namco.
I don't know, to be honest. No, I can't remember. What fighting games did you have in mind?
I feel like they published quite a lot. Well, I know they published Dragon Ball Fighters, because obviously they have the Dragon Ball Z.
Oh.
I know they did that, but I could swear they did a lot. Yeah, they do Tekken.
Who did Virtua Fighter?
They do Tekken.
Oh, they do Tekken, do they?
Yeah. I knew there was another big one that I was missing. So yeah, I think that could help with the sort of fighting game gap. Securing Tekken or something like that, and Dragon Ball Fighters, both very prosperous fighters, I think, with many sequels to come. Dragon Ball Fighters was a huge success. Yeah. So, yeah, man, just Bandai Namco just publish all sorts. It's kind of ridiculous. From single player to fighters to some horror games to, I mean, for a start, they published, from what I can see here, the Soul games. Souls, dude.
Oh, do they? They usually FromSoft not usually sell
Dark Souls 2, right, okay. Dark Souls 3. It says here. Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
So.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah. Hello. But those devs aren't part of that team, so I don't really think.
Yeah, they're independent. Yeah, they just publish.
Yeah.
Just find another publisher, so to speak. But yeah, I'd say those two. Yeah. But what about you? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that's actually. Yeah, no, I think it's actually a really interesting angle for Bandai Namco, because I think a lot of people are thinking about this from the JRPG front, because that's the kind of the lingo that gets thrown around all the time when we talk about Xbox's missing Japanese games. But Bandai Namco kind of has this, it has this kind of advantage of having a lot of fighters on board, and that's something we've also been speaking about. Maybe this is a 2-for-1. This could be a 2-for-1 with Bandai Namco, right?
Yeah, because they published
fighting devs,
some big JRPGs in the last year as well. They did Scarlet Nexus and Tales of Arise as well. Yeah, you do get your foot in the door. We're kind of both there, so yeah, agreed.
So interesting kind of things in the chat as well. Joaquin says Bandai is worth about 16 billion, and they also make medical equipment and sell life insurance, and therefore doesn't think that it could be them. Well, yeah, well maybe get some life insurance with every subscription of Game Pass. Maybe that's it's part of the offer.
Family pass, family.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. And Tim has said the same thing about Konami. I guess this is a good point about these publishers being involved with more than just gaming. But if we look at some other publishers have done similar things, right? I don't think it's impossible for these publishers to fragment off their gaming division. I'm trying to think who Square Enix did something similar in terms of their Western and Eastern divisions, but I felt like there was a publisher recently who fragmented off their gaming division. But it's a good point. It would definitely add more complication to these. And the thing that I think the chat is really pointing to is Sega, which I think is interesting because this whole rumor of Xbox and Sega has been going on for a while, and I'm fairly sure it's been grounded in absolutely nothing. I know there's a lot of IP there. I know very little about Sega. I have very little history with Sega, so I wouldn't know how well this fits into. Oh, I said Virtual Fighter, and that's Sega.
Nice, dude.
Well, the IP is, but the IP's been long gone for a while.
Yeah. Mate, if it's Square Enix, I'm gonna shit my pants.
Nah, it won't be. Sony's got too many fingers and too many pies over there.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but then you could also argue that Nintendo have fingers in Sega. So it sounds weird.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, they do in terms of I'm Sonic and stuff like that, but I don't know. I'm not big on Sega's history. In all honesty, I'm not really too. I love Tim's comment. The Pokemon Company. Imagine the internet meltdown.
Yeah,
that'd be absolutely ridiculous. You just buy Pokemon.
That's so funny. Yeah, this is ours now. It would just feel like the Minecraft purchase, wouldn't it? But even worse. Oh, this is ours now. Exclusive to Xbox.
Pokemon is the most profitable franchise on the planet, isn't it? Or one of them.
I don't think so.
It's got
Tim is going to let you know.
Yeah, of course
Tim is going to let you know. He's got the wiki.
It's got to be.
He is the wiki.
Pokemon, dude. It's ingrained in our DNA at this point.
I have a Squirtle in my.
It's part of our evolution. I'm sure.
I see what you did there.
I'm sure. Yeah. Thank
you.
All
right, glass
I'm sure Pokemon is one of the most profitable. At least I don't know if Minecraft is media-based franchises. Sure, it's not going to be like fucking Amazon or McDonald's or anything like that. Sure, but a media franchise, it's gotta be, dude.
I think Minecraft is bigger.
I think you're an idiot.
You think I'm an idiot?
No, I don't think you're an idiot. I take that back. I think Pokemon is more profitable than
biggest
Minecraft.
Media IPs. Fuck this, man.
In the chat, before you figure it out, in the chat, vote Pokemon or Minecraft.
Oh, profitable? Oh no.
No, just bigger. We're just talking What were you talking? Some niche ass fucking.
Pokemon's been around for so much longer, so I guess. No, but if you measure it per capita, well, I'm backtracking. But if you measure it from the same amount of time, I don't know. Pokemon has obviously been around for 15 more years, so of course overall it's going to have made more money. But in the same amount of time.
I don't know if he just spawns these from his brain or if these are legit. But he says Pokemon is 100 billion and Minecraft is 7.
No, but in the same time, where's my lid gone? In the same time frame, I kind of feel like Minecraft.
I don't know, man. I think even by those stats, if you don't even do time frame, I still think Pokemon's. Even if you do it by time frame, I still think Pokemon's bigger.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the L on this one.
I'm gonna
tell you the L on this one.
We've gone off here. Yeah.
But would you know what the second biggest IP is? It's Hello Kitty. So how about that? Do you think Minecraft's bigger than Hello Kitty?
No, you just said it was the second biggest.
No, but it's the same thing. Hello Kitty's been around since 1974. And I don't know, Minecraft started in early 2000s?
Yeah.
Like in the same time period, I don't know what is bigger in terms of perception and I guess, like money, but.
Just take the L, dude. Just take the L.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I'm still going to stick with Bandai. I know they're big or whatever, but I'm still going to stick with that. Yeah. Although Square would be shit hot, but I can't see it happening. But then Sony have always just done timed exclusivity with them. I'm sure they're cozy and they're in bed with them right now, but I'm sure Square do have one foot out of the bed because it's not, they don't own them, right? It's just the deal is just, the deal's as good as it remains sweet. If someone offers a sweeter deal, they'll probably just go somewhere else. So,
Yeah, it's interesting. I do think the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm seeing the angle for Sega here. I think what the chat said about some of these companies being involved in more than gaming is a really good point. But I also feel like it would be an easy sell for those companies because that way they could liquidate, essentially the gaming division for a lot of money, but still be in business, right? If they're thinking now's a good time to sell, like they could do that and then grow in other areas if that's what they wanted to do. Okay.
Fat L, bro.
That's the first 3 years. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. The first 3 years. What about the last 5 years?
Oh, for fuck's sake!
What about the last 5 years?
This podcast is not just getting Timur to pull up stats on everything we want to argue about. Poor guy. All right.
Well, I'm pretty sure Timur he directly edits the Wikipedia page list of highest grossing gaming franchises. Like that's what he does. That's his thing.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He's as good as a dictionary on this point. It doesn't matter. I think maybe I overshot the popularity of Minecraft here, and that's fine. But I would be interested to see the numbers in the last 5 years between Pokemon and Minecraft.
Does not include anime. When did you find the anime? Jesus Christ. All right, we're moving on. It's the fattest L I think I've ever seen anyone take. Let's just...
It's not! I haven't even had an answer!
I did. All right, what's our next one? Razer? We're moving on to Razer.
Yeah, Razer. Yeah. Razer are making a cloud handheld. They announced it this week. There's no explicit mention of Xbox from what I could see on the article, but there's an Xbox logo splashed at the end. There is an expectation that Game Pass will be involved. That will be on it. Maybe I missed it, so let's just pretend that there is kind of confirmation of Xbox Game Pass being available on it in an official capacity. Like I said, at the end of the trailer, an Xbox logo flashed up, so that kind of seals the deal for me. They're having a proper reveal in 2 weeks' time on the 15th of October. We all know who Razer is. They make a lot of computer products in particular. They're moving into accessories as well, like with the Kishi for cloud gaming. This is just like what we spoke about with the Logitech device last week, the Logitech Cloud G. There's going to be a focus on 5G capabilities, and it's going to be streaming only, so no native games.
Cool.
Big concern here is it's price again. Yeah. There isn't a price announced yet, but Razer products are pricey.
I was literally, mate, that's literally you just said what I was going to say. I was just going to say, like, it's great, but it's going to have the same issue as the one we talked about last week, where I just think it's going to be too expensive for what it does. I think exactly the same thing. Like, as cool as these things are, and I think there is definitely space for them, and I think Razer could do a really good one based on the fact that they've already kind of dipped their toes in this market anyway, and kind of catered for Xboxes, for sort of, making a device that helped with the Xbox cloud gaming and stuff like that. I think maybe they have more experience than the Logitech one, but like, yeah, price just immediately comes as an issue to me, because yeah, Razer stuff just doesn't tend to be cheap.
Yeah, and it kind of brings us back to this. Like, I'm glad this is an emerging like market. I think this is good. I think the more competition that appears in this, the more
Someone
prices
will do
be
a cheap
forced to
one
be driven
eventually.
down. Right, exactly. Yeah, you have to. You'll all have to learn off each other's mistakes at one point when these products fucking flop. But maybe this is when people talk about cloud gaming, people keep saying, "Oh, we're not there yet. Like, we need another like maybe in 50 years' time it'll be like really really popular." And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think even now, cloud has the capability to be a nice complement. Like the business model is that it's a complementary device, and that appeals to your hardcore gamer really. In the same way that kind of an elite controller does. It appeals to that market, people who know this is a second best performing device. It's not the same as native, but it does give you access to games. It does perform well on a particular type of game. There are some games which suit playing by cloud that maybe don't aren't detracted from by having a little bit of input lag. So maybe this is part of it, though. With the popularity of it, maybe it does just need a bit of time for 5G technology to drop in price, for competition to really get swirling, and for prices to come down. Because right now, even with the Logitech, then I think as part of the announcements, the other week, they said that they're not making any they're selling it at no profit. I don't know if they're selling it at a loss, but so it just tells me that the device is expensive to make, and that's not uncommon. Like with consoles, they do the same. They sell them at a loss and then make it back on subscriptions and services and game sales. So maybe it will take a bit longer for these components to just drop in price and competition to kick in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean 5G and all that sort of technology is still relatively new, as well as just cloud native streaming tech. It's pretty big in like the business world and stuff like that with like AWS, but like in terms of like the gaming market and stuff, it's still relatively new. So yeah, I completely agree. I just think stuff's just kind of expensive right now, and with time it will become cheaper for both the businesses and the users. I think, but I also think they'll just streamline the products as well. I think buying the first iterations of these things you should only do if you're kind of like an influencer or like a hardcore gamer or something like that. I feel like you're always better jumping on board with the second and third iterations of this sort of stuff. I said the same thing with like the smartwatches, like Apple Watches and stuff. They've done nothing but absolutely skyrocket and become so much better than like the Series 1 first Apple Watch came out. It's always better just jumping on board later, I think.
I've still got my Series 1 Apple Watch.
Yeah.
It's very slow.
It's very slow, and it also has like no battery.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big, but I mean, it usually lasts like 2 days. Like if I wanted to wear it 2 days without charging, it usually work without going into low power mode. But
okay, that's interesting.
It's fine. I think more than anything, I really like the idea of a smartwatch, but I don't feel like any of them have really tapped into any good utility. I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is such a good idea, but it's like there's loads of weird, like it doesn't have the power to run things smoothly. It has to constantly tether to your phone. I think you can get data models nowadays that maybe offsets that. And the app support is generally kind of weak, I find. Like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I kind of know what you mean. I've never really been a big smartwatch guy. I've never really owned a top of the line smartwatch, so I wouldn't really know. But they definitely are getting far better, but they genuinely cater more towards the fitness world, rather than your just tech convenience world. I mean, they do a little bit of that, but it's kind of hybrid. I feel like they definitely are there to be more of a fitness pal. these days.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. That technology has been around for ages, and you can get them on cheap devices. That you don't need to splash out 200 quid on a smartwatch to get fitness trackers. I guess that's kind of my confusion, because it was like before contactless became a big thing on phones anyway. You could do it with your watch. They had the technology built in, and I could double tap the side button and pay with my watch. And that was really awkward sometimes because I had to like bend my wrists in all sorts of I had to make my wrist like a pretzel to pay it at the machine sometimes. And that was fine. Like it was cool that I could do it without getting my wallet out. And I did it quite often. But now that phones have that feature, it's like, well, that was like a major part of the watch that just, I don't know. I'd like to see what else comes next for that. Because I remember when the Pokemon Go, they made an Apple Watch version of Pokemon Go, and that was pretty cool. But it was never that great. Like it was fine, I guess. But ultimately, I just want to be able to flashbang someone with my watch. Is that so much to ask?
Yeah, I think that's quite a lot to ask, dude. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I hate to break it to you.
Why not?
Because why would they?
Why not?
Why would they build that into a watch? Like, come on.
Self-defense, man.
Yeah, but you wouldn't use.
I'm walking down the street. I just like rob a bank with it.
Yeah, like you can't just claim it's for self-defense. Yeah, my Apple Watch has a gun that comes out of it, but I use it for self-defense.
Cyberpunk.
No, people won't. Flashbang.
Okay, well, whatever. So yeah, another thing that I'll be keeping my eye on with these cloud devices. Obviously, the big selling point here is that it's 5G, whereas the Logitech Cloud G device was Wi-Fi only, I think. But the flip side of that is that it would require a continued cost or subscription to a network provider, so making it even more expensive. So they better be swallowing a big loss on this, or this product's going to die. It's going to be dead out the gate. So we'll see.
Yes.
Tim, speaking of dead streaming,
dead out the gate, really.
Software.
Like you could have stayed with dead out the gate.
So yeah, speaking of dead out the gate, Stadia's dead.
Yeah, Stadia, it was basically dead out the gate.
Stadia cloud streaming. Yeah. It's going to remain live until January 18th in 2023, and Google is refunding all Stadia purchases.
Whoa.
Ooh.
To be fair.
So that GIF. Ooh.
To be fair, the Stadia itself was actually really cheap. I assume they're refunding all software purchased on Stadia as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
that's a big L. Yeah.
That is frightening.
It's very frightening.
I think in my lifetime, I mean, and hopefully I'm not just being ignorant here, but at least highest profile in my lifetime, this is the first time I've ever seen people actually lose ownership of their games. I know some developers and publishers are making an effort to try and give people the ownership of those games back on another platform, but that's going to be a case by case thing. Across the board, people have just lost all their games and maybe their progress as well, and that is quite frightening. This is one of the few times where I can sympathize with physical media fanatics, because they are constantly living under the conspiracy of like something, like everything shutting down. There's a giant solar flare and we go into a dystopian world and I can't play Call of Duty anymore.
Oh God, I don't want to live in that world. Yeah, no, I think I'm in agreement, where I don't think I can think of anything that's just being completely taken offline. As far as like a product, like I've seen like games come out and then just die out of the gates, and they're like, we're shutting down servers, stuff like that. But I've never seen like an actual product, actual software, and all that just die and then just get refunded to their entire user base. Yeah, that's kind of nuts. But man, I tell you what, back when Stadia first came out, I was extremely close to buying one. Like, it looked like a pretty cool piece of kit. I'm not gonna lie. for kind of what they were promising. But maybe it was they were just a little bit too ahead of the times, a little bit.
I think there's definitely something to be said about that. I think, yeah, like, because I'm with you. I think a lot of people are maybe jumping a bit too quickly to like point and laugh, but I thought it was quite nice having another major competitor in the area. You know, it's like Amazon trying to get involved, and they're kind of really struggling. You know, to the point of like, you know, they're selling off their studios as well, and it's like, it would be nice to have more competitors in this arena to some degree. I don't like the idea of all my favorite IPs getting sold off as exclusive to different publishers, but I do like the idea of there being other players coming in and really trying to push things forward. Because I want to be real with you, I think Xbox is the only one who does that. It's the first time we've mentioned it. You know, like I think Xbox is really at least in the last 10 years is the only company really that's innovated.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say Switch has any sort of innovation.
Yeah,
the Switch is kind of just a natural evolution of the Wii U. And really, the Wii. That's not to say it's not a good product. I'm not sure how I would consider it innovation at this point. It's just portable with separate controllers. That's not new for Nintendo. PlayStation, they make great games, but they haven't really innovated. I guess maybe the controller, DualSense controller, that's VR. Pretty cool.
They're kind of starting to innovate.
Maybe VR, but I guess, but you know, there are other VR headsets out there, like the Quest, which are doing that already. I mean, I guess maybe they've added a few more bells and whistles to their. I don't know. Like, you know, you can by the way that Nintendo and PlayStation now have a subscription service, you can tell how much Game Pass has shaken things up.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I was initially excited about big players getting involved here. So it's a bit of a shame to see them go. Cloud does have a place, I think, in gaming. It really truly does, but they just didn't have the games either, man. Like, they didn't have multi-plat games that really needed to be there. I think like Red Dead Redemption 2 was one of them that came so much later. And it's like, if people wanted to play that, they didn't have a choice other than to go to another platform. It's like, you know, did they have any exclusive Stadia games? Is that a thing?
I don't think so. No, I think everyone was just kind of jumped on board with them if they kind of offered them a sweet enough deal. But yeah, I agree. They just didn't really get much on their platform to make it viable. Yeah.
And Tim has said here that Stadia lasted longer than Ouya. Wow, Ouya. That's the name I haven't heard in a long, long time.
Yeah, it's fucking Ouya, dude. Yeah, that was pretty rough, the Ouya, I think.
I remember hearing about that a lot. I'm going to be real. Like, to this day, I'm still confused about what the Ouya actually did. It was just a cheap little console.
Yeah, it seemed quite retro.
Essentially played a lot of...
in the sense.
Yeah, that's right.
Games. Yeah.
And Android-based micro console. That's cute. That's a shame. Yeah, so, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's just, it would have been nice to see them keep going, really. And this there is a talking point here for how it kind of goes into the ABK, the Activision Blizzard deal with Xbox. There's a lot to be said about that. But before we do go into that, I wanted to just touch on what Joaquin has said here. CDPR, CD Projekt Red, has a market cap of $2 billion. Would you guys buy them even though they didn't fully own any of their IP? I think this is interesting.
I think so.
Because I guess, like, if a platform holder is buying a publisher, like a good team with a good track record, but they don't own any of the IP, the burden falls on Microsoft, if I'm understanding this right. So it's quite hard, I think, for us as consumers to take that, to understand the mechanics of that, because what that would essentially mean is if they make Witcher 4, or whatever, a spin-off Witcher game where you play as a dreg.
Nice.
Not a dreg. What are they called? What are the little water things called?
Drowners.
Drowners. Where you play as a drowner. They would have to come to an agreed percentage that goes to the owner. So it'd be like the book writer or whatever is who's owning the Witcher IP. Same with Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the difficulty. So we don't really know how much of that profit would have to be negotiated.
Yeah.
But of course, it would be a big benefit to have something like The Witcher on Game Pass day one, or do something unique or an exclusive with any of those IPs. Yeah, it's tricky. To be honest, I don't know. I'd say probably not. I'd just rather the money went into something that they could really brand as new and as their own. Like Avowed strikes me as something like that. Even though Obsidian own all their IP, Avowed strikes me as something which is new and will stand on its own two legs and can become like this. Because we all know it's in the Pillars of Eternity universe, just to become this Xbox associated IP and franchise. So yeah, I think I ultimately would say no, but it's an interesting little thing.
Yeah.
How are we doing for time, Tim? How much? Oh, did you have easy access to that number anywhere?
We'll be going for almost an hour and a half.
Oh, lovely. Wasn't that great? All right, we've got a couple more things to go through. So piggybacking off this, off Stadia dying, this was a really good point raised by Asa at Game On Daily, Twitter user who's at Game On Daily, who essentially said that this is concerning for the Activision Blizzard King deal because Google could now go to regulatory boards and say that they chose not to compete because of Microsoft's current ability to essentially hoover up publishers. I think Google has, I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure they have mentioned before that they didn't like the Bethesda acquisition. Like publicly, that's what they've said.
Yeah.
I think. Someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm fairly sure that was mentioned in a kind of negative way. And even more concerning, Microsoft and Google are openly hostile to each other. Microsoft sided with Epic against Google and Apple, against Google and Apple by saying that they think that the App Store and the Play Store policies are unfair. And they didn't need to get involved with this. They chose to get involved. And then they lost ultimately. So it wouldn't surprise me if Google take any opportunity they can to minimize profits for Xbox and largely, on the wider scale, Microsoft. I mean, what are your thoughts on this kind of situation?
I mean, I say potentially, but then I also think that when did Stadia launch? Like, I don't think Microsoft were really on the aggressive publisher hunt back when Stadia launched, and it didn't launch successfully. Like right out the gates, this thing was never that fantastic. So I don't know if they can argue that maybe from a time frame perspective. I'm not sure.
2019 was the launch date, November 19th.
When did we buy Bethesda? 2020. So like, I mean, unless they had like inner workings of all this going on, and like when they contacted Bethesda and stuff like that, Bethesda were like, "Oh, sorry, we're in the midst of like an acquisition with Microsoft. We're not putting any stuff on Stadia." I don't know if they can argue that this was happening because Microsoft weren't really doing anything that aggressive on the publisher front. So I don't know. Stadia kind of just launched pretty poopy right out the gates. So
it would be a hole in their argument, but I guess I think what Google would try to say as a counter, they would say after having released, Xbox hoovered up Bethesda, and then the ABK deal went through, and ultimately we figured we can't compete in this anymore.
Yeah, true.
And I think I don't know how many regulatory boards would buy that, considering they could have. Google are big. They could have afforded to buy a publisher if they really wanted to. They could have bidded against Xbox for Bethesda, but didn't. And also, the other side of this is that when we went through this like a couple months ago about the official statements from a lot of different publishers and big tech companies to Brazil, the comments that they made on the Brazilian government. Google was fine. Like they were like, yeah, it'll probably be fine. COD is big, but it'll probably be fine. And now it just seems a bit
backtracking.
Well, obviously nothing has happened, but it's just like, could they or couldn't they? And I think, again, regulatory boards, I think, would notice that if they were like, oh, you're closed and now you're trying to get a couple of jabs in on your mortal enemy. It's like very convenient, Mr. Google.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if they've openly and publicly spoke about it in the past and then just backtrack after they go under in this area, you could definitely argue that it's just they're just doing it maliciously rather than like genuinely. Yeah.
And I think this is a good point to maybe just take a breather and just have a think about the ABK deal in general, because as much as it comes up every week and there's always something to say about it, I kind of just wanted to ask you like how you're feeling about the deal in general now. Like, are you still wanting this to go through? Do you care, not care? Like, do you think this is a good get, bad get now that we're like 6 months into since it's been announced or something like that?
I mean, with how long it's taking, I'm very much getting in the I don't really follow it that much anymore because it's exhausting to keep up with it. But I definitely still want it to happen.
It's boring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I definitely still want it to happen, and I definitely still think it's a good get. And I don't think it's the be all end all in terms of competition either. So yeah, I'm still completely in favor of it. I'm just kind of exhausted of it. I'm gonna be honest. That's how I
know everybody is, dude. Like everybody is. And I think, because let's face it, all of these conversations that are going to continue to go on is because of Call of Duty, and that's it. And I frankly don't care that much about Activision. I know a lot of people quite like a lot of those IPs. I know there's a tangible benefit there to cleaning up shop, getting Bobby Kotick out, and slowing down the COD machine. Like Microsoft can do that because they can subsidize those teams a bit more and get them on something more creative. Like I understand that, but that's all unproven to me. The only thing I really want from this deal is Blizzard, and personally, I want that personally because I like a lot of Blizzard games. I'm not a mega fan, but I like a lot of Blizzard games for sure. Mm-hmm. And also strategically, I think it continues to fit what Xbox has been saying about having more E-games, E for everyone. I don't know if Overwatch is E, but it's like 12 maybe. It definitely goes to the younger audience, or has the scope for a younger audience. So like to me, it's kind of like I'm kind of done with you guys trying to fight over COD. Like just let them have it. Do what you need to do. Like I'm so tired of talking about COD. And we continue to say this because Xbox had, Phil and Xbox, they continue to say COD's going to be multi-plat for like a long time, at least. So maybe with how this is all shaping up, like maybe this is just going to result in a fairly big concession that Xbox didn't want to make for COD, knowing that this is a big purchase and COD was a central part of getting that revenue back. But for us, the consumer, I don't really think it's going to change for COD. The rest of it obviously will, but COD, maybe that's the entire point of all of this with Google and Sony, because the next story is that essentially Xbox has filed for the acquisition with the EU now, the EU Commission and the rest of Europe. And Jim Ryan has had secret meetings with the EU Commission over the last few weeks. Literally gone to them and had some words behind doors about the whole acquisition. So, again, to my previous point, maybe this is just all shaping up into a major concession that Xbox didn't want to give, but ultimately consumers shouldn't really give too much of a shit about.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. And I agree with kind of everything that you said with in regards to like Call of Duty and stuff like that. If I could, I would just cut off the Call of Duty section of this deal and just take everything else and just be done with it. It'd just be like, can it go through now?
Right.
Jim the rim job, Ryan.
Jim Rimjob crying,
Yeah.
crying, lying, dance moves Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's just yeah, I don't think there's any reason for users, end users to get in a massive like panic about this. As far as Call of Duty is concerned and stuff like that, I don't think much is going to change, at least for a long while. So yeah, I don't know. I agree with what you said basically. And we talked about this on previous episodes as well. It's just COD, and I don't know why. Because speaking personally, I think COD is a steaming pile of garbage. But yeah,
Have you seen all the stuff about Modern Warfare 2?
I see that
Like,
it's
have you kept up with that?
not particularly. Would you just mean in just how it's being received?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's being received pretty relatively negative at the moment.
It's been fairly mixed from what I've seen.
Yeah, it's mixed, but people, there's always a bad with a good, from what I can tell. People are just like, I like this, but I hate this. I like this, but I hate this. You know, so it's very mixed. Slash maybe pouring a little bit more negative, but yeah. So just what Call of Duty's been for a very, very long time.
I'm kind of interested to hear what, like, because you said that you didn't just say you think COD is not for you. You said that you think it's a steaming pile of garbage. So
Yeah.
like, I'm interested, like, why?
I don't think you could actually. I feel like if you offered me money to sit down and play Call of Duty in a room for a few hours, I wouldn't take the money. I don't think I would.
Really?
£100, I don't think I would.
Jesus.
I just think it's just so not fun. It's so, everything about it is just so repetitive and so shit. I don't know. It's just, and our friends played the beta and they said the exact same thing. They hopped onto the open beta and they just said it was just mind numbing. It was like smacking your head against a wall. You know, you just run in, you die. You run in, you die. People jump around corners. They kill you a second. You die. You spawn back in. You die. And one of our friends, Ridge, was literally saying he just went into like this autopilot mode, and like he didn't even like know what he was playing. It just became just this monotonous, just, I don't know. And that's what I think it is. Yeah. And then the campaigns. I mean, the campaigns can be a bit of fun sometimes. Some of them are quite good, but like, they're kind of predictable and they're kind of the same thing. Let's be real. But yeah, that's how I feel about Call of Duty. Just don't like it.
Wow. Wow. I guess, yeah, it is funny because the flow of those games is super different to like a lot of other popular shooters on the market right now, which is weird because we had a phase where everything was trying to copy COD, and now COD kind of is just COD, and that's fine. Obviously, it's still hyper popular because it feels good as a shooter. We used to love it. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it is like baby's first shooter, baby's first competitive shooter. Maybe that is like the market for it nowadays. You know, it's low commitment. You're gonna get a kill eventually, and that's gonna feel good. But you're gonna die a lot. Yeah. No, I think it's quite interesting that you like really are quite averse to COD now. Whereas because I'm kind of like, yeah, it's fine. I could probably play it for a few games. It's not my shooter of choice, but you know,
Yeah.
still handles well.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't even think I'd want to play it these days.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's definitely not my flavor either anymore. But I think everybody goes through like a COD rite of passage.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know what they do with their marketing to make that happen.
Yeah, I
but
don't know.
yeah. Okay, well, everyone who's listening, we're at that part of the show. If you're here with us right now, hello. If you're here after the fact, if you're listening from the future, give us a quick like, please. Maybe consider subscribing. Maybe give us a rating on your podcast services if you're listening to us there. That would really help us out. The podcast market is tough these days. It's a tough place.
It really is.
It's a pod world.
It's
I
tough.
came up with that right now.
It's tough for the reasons that you say stuff like that, and that's why we will never be popular.
You think people just heard that, they're like, "Oh fuck this kid!" Just
Jesus, yeah.
Pod,
right as they were about to hit the like button as well. They literally hovering over it. Not dislike. F4.
Yeah. Oops, my hand slipped. Okay. We don't have that much more longer left to go, but one of the bigger things that happened this week was that there was a lot of rumors swirling around about Halo Infinite, and this obviously comes following a litany of kind of mixed news. Bonnie Ross leaving, more management being involved, essentially a restructuring of 343, and this speculation suggested that the Halo BR Tatanka being developed by certain affinity, that's almost escaped me. There's caffeine kicked in. It's going to be on a different engine. It's going to be on Unreal 5. Okay. Not only that, Halo the Endless is also not going to be on Slipspace engine, which is what Halo Infinite is on, and it's not going to be part of Halo Infinite. This is all speculation.
Yeah.
I think this is utterly insane, and I do not think in any world that this could be true.
I mean, they've had a lot of trouble.
It just makes no sense to
Halo Infinite engine, right? They could just make it a separate application or something with just the Halo Infinite name on it.
They could, but it just doesn't, like, the amount of work that they've put into this engine. I mean, it's a sunk cost to a degree, but the reason Halo, which is, to be honest, still its like biggest selling point, is how it feels, and it feels so good because of the engine, which is like heavily built on Blam, which is what Blam engine is what they use for the old Halos. So to get all the physics right, the gun feel, the movement, etc., to like try and replicate that in Unreal Engine 5, I just don't think they'd be able to do it. To be honest,
it seems like a big job. It seems unnecessary. I do agree. I think you kind of just work with what you've got at this point, even if it is tough, especially when you've laid a foundation. Might not be the most solid foundation, but it's better than going in with no foundation at all. I do agree. It seems a bit outlandish. It seems a bit weird. Yeah.
But it's also then, how would that work with like it just seems like unnecessary work generation when they could just put that time into like continued work on Slipspace. Like if that delays content, which I think is what they've been doing, like if that delays content for Halo and Halo Infinite, then so be it. Like they need to get the Slipspace down so they can deliver content quicker and things can continue feeling the way they do. Because how, like if there's a campaign expansion or the BR comes out on Unreal 5, like how does that work with like shared progression?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I'm sure they could do it, but it just sounds like it would be a big job to then make your Unreal Engine Spartan look like your Slipspace Spartan and then share like cosmetics and stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm surprised this gained any traction because this is utterly insane to me. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it seems unlikely, extremely unlikely. Yeah,
and I will gobble my fucking words up if any of this is true, because there is also the talk about even or maybe a less intense scale, like the next campaign, which we know Xbox trademarked Halo the Endless, being a separate application or being as part of Infinite, and as part of this leak speculation thing, the Endless would be a separate application, which again, insane. That seems utterly insane to me, unless it's like an ODST style standalone expansion thing.
Yeah.
I thought the whole point of Infinite was to be a growing platform in the sense that, in the same way that MCC is. It's like, this is Halo Infinite forward.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, maybe that's what they envision, but sometimes these things don't go according to plan. Like, sometimes they have to ditch their plans and their philosophies and what they were going for, if it makes more sense. But
yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could really see, the only reason I could really see this is if, like, now that the 343 shakeup has happened, there's like a new like direction and vision, and that vision is to just essentially scrap everything. Because if this is the case, if all these things are true, hypothetically, this would mean that Halo Infinite is already on an encroaching like lifespan. This, to me, this would be like Halo Infinite's going to get another 2-3 years of support, and then we're done. Even though we said it was going to be a 10-year plan, we're just going to make Halo Infinite 2. And that's going to be on UE5. It's going to launch, like with a battle royale. It's going to launch with this and that and that and that. Which I guess, like, it doesn't sound impossible if they were like really if Xbox were really disappointed with Infinite's performance. But I don't know. To me, it's still that it remains to be seen. Forge is on the horizon. They're going to have the 10-week seasonal cadence starting next year. We've gone through this. It's obviously disappointed it's taken this long, but I think in that launch month, Infinite performed really, really well, and I'm sure Xbox is looking at that and saying there's clearly capacity for this game to perform really well. Just get shit in it. Yeah, just get shit in it. So that's why all of this news bundled together makes me think like it just doesn't make sense to me unless the new leadership is really like, no, we can't do this. Like, Slip Space is too fucked. We can't get unless we staff up, ×3 and completely ruin everything. We can't get a consistent content cadence down. So we just need to move on.
Which is
doesn't seem like that to me.
No, yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think it's going to happen. No.
Cool. Well, yeah. So I mean, Infinite continues to ramp up towards the end of the year. That roadmap it's like there are like crumbs of it starting to come together. They're doing their third Forge video tomorrow, so that'll be Monday the 3rd, where they're showing off lighting. In the last video we spoke about like scripting and bots. That all sounded very good. And I really think there's going to be a big custom game scene when that finally comes together. So with that, our fingers remain crossed. Ultimately,
basically, yeah.
All right, Tim, we're on our last story for today.
All right.
And in this story, Phil wants to cancel the Quick Resume podcast. He wants to get rid of us. He's seen us and he wants us gone.
There's no way.
Crazy, right?
We're bigger than Phil. Yep. We can take him on.
I think we can as well. 1v1 me on Rust, interventions only.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, that's pretty hard. I'd watch that.
Yeah. So really, what happened here is that someone suggested, it was on a Twitter thread about Quick Resume, someone said that we should have the option to toggle off Quick Resume for certain games where it fucks with it. And Phil, being Phil, browsing Twitter, listening to the gamers, being Papa Xbox, chimed in. He said this was a good feature ask, and it makes sense. We'll put it on the list of things to look at.
I agree.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. We literally had this discussion just the other night for Granted, didn't we? Where it just sometimes it really fucks your game up. Quick Resume to the point where it's actually faster if you were to just cold boot the application up. Some games it's not too bad if you have like a quick exit to main menu and then log back in sort of thing like Apex has. So the Quick Resume works fine on it. But majority of games, online games where you need a server connection and stuff like that, it's not the way. I agree. I would like to have a toggle option.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's such a good feature. It really is. I really miss when I like go on my Switch or I boot on my PlayStation, really anything that plays games, I really miss it when it's not there. Just floating between games is really nice, but like you say, it just for 95% of games with any sort of online connection, it just fucks it. It really does. The only workaround I've been able to come up with is if most title screens have a change user button and it brings up the dashboard with profiles. Is to do that and just pick your profile again, and it often initiates like the server reconnect. It's not consistent because it varies from game to game. But I suppose it just like, I wish there was a deeper integration here. It's like they can't do it with every might play, and I can't expect the devs to make it work. But with first party games, they're like, there should really be a thing like it just pops up with a quick resume detected, but you're disconnected from press A to reconnect the server to allow quick resume to work.
Yeah.
Boom, done, get you in. Just like, because Grounded is one of those ones where it's like, this should really be supported.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it does when you're playing single player, obviously. But it's just if there's any sort of online, just don't make me reboot the game because you're actively slowing me down.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I think for first party games, it makes sense to try and force that integration a bit better. But I also think it's just like a little plaster for now. There's no negative to having a toggle on off situation until they integrate this for their first party games. It's just a no-brainer. It's a win-win. There's nothing negative here. So yeah.
And I think the pundits took an opportunity to take to Twitter and say, "Oh well, God, quick resume is such a gimmick feature. What a waste of time. You have to turn it off." And it's like, well, there's a system level feature that's brilliant most of the time.
Yeah.
But there are definitely online games where, and it's not like it doesn't fuck with online games all the time either. Like a lot of games will just boot you back to the title screen and then you boot it up and it works fine. But there are more than I would like, a handful of cases where it doesn't boot you back to the title screen and it pretends everything's fine and then it just doesn't work. So yeah, having the option to turn it off, I guess, is just to offset the lack of dev support, really, which again, can't expect devs to really customize all their games around this, but yes, giving the user more control, I guess, is the takeaway there.
Definitely. Yeah. Agreed.
All right. That does it for the news.
That's the episode.
We did it.
That's all, folks.
What were we Oh, it was science, wasn't it? Raw science. I was like, what were we doing the other day?
Raw science.
It was like that. Raw science.
Yeah, you wouldn't say it. I was like, I can't understand.
I can't understand you. So just got some raw science, huh? Yeah, raw science. What is that? Oh, sorry. Raw science.
There we go. You got some
yes, that's what
science.
Nice. Now I get it. We did it. That's great. It was a bit of a lighter news week today, and truly my Americano carried me through that to really help, settle the rum in my brain. Really? You're insane. It's a priority for me on podcast days.
In me. We're going to go out for a coffee now, but I haven't had a single bit of caffeine in me today.
It's an absolute priority for me on podcast days.
I've had a crumpet.
Is there caffeine in it?
No, there's no. Yeah, I just
dunk it in your coffee.
Caffeine on it, concentrated caffeine.
Yeah, like instant coffee over the top.
Yeah, no caffeine.
I'll tell you what. While I'm on the subject, it won't last long. I promise. I'll let you go and have your coffee. But I've been mastering the art of coffee of brewing. I'll tell you. I've been studying the arts. I've gone up to the mountains in a robe. I've become a bit of a Tibetan monk, and I've studied the way of coffee brewing, and I understand now. Like I was making coffee before, because for those listeners that don't know, I have like a proper coffee machine. Like the proper ones where you go bap bap bap, and it goes.
You got bean to cup.
It has the steamer on it.
It's called bean to cup.
It's a it's the barista Sage Express. So I can change the fineness of the bean grinding, the water extraction, etc., etc. And I've been studying the ways, Tim, and I'm really proud of the results. I've got to be honest with you.
I'm looking forward to the next coffee you make me then.
Yeah, well, I've just been like, do you ever get coffee shots? Because that's the best way to obviously experiment and make sure you're getting the shot right. So I've been having a lot of coffee shots, which is why my nervous system is like just a series of ants.
No, I've never done
vibrating ants.
I don't do coffee shots, no.
Right, because now, like, I've always been a bit of a coffee snob, but now it's even worse. Now I'm like getting coffee and I'm counting how many seconds it takes for the coffee to extract into my cup. It's got to be between 20 to 30 seconds. You know what I mean? The coffee to water ratio has got to be 1 to 1.2. Do you know what I mean? If I want a good espresso, unless I'm going for a ristretto, there's 1 to 1.5.
You're getting a bit angry. Just take it easy. Yeah.
So really, if it's coming out less than 20 seconds, the shot's going to be sour, Tim. I don't want a sour shot. And you might be saying, how do I fix that? And I say,
I'm not
you've got
saying
to make the bean finer.
I'm saying let's end the episode.
You've got to get more coffee in the portafilter. You've got to pack it harder.
Yeah,
and then
pack things pretty hard, including fudge.
I do actually have some really nice fudge.
Fuck's sake, I've started them up again.
Okay. All right, fuck it. Hit the jingle. Let's get out of here.
Oh, God. Oh, we weren't jingling. That would have been a great one to just jingle. Okay, yeah, we're jingling.
That would have been a good one, yeah. Great, fantastic. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us today. It was lovely to see you. Truly. If you've liked what you've heard, consider subscribing. Do the notification bell thing. I haven't done that for literally anyone. I don't see the point. But if you really want to support us, then you should. Maybe hit the like button, that little mini game that's just below the screen. Come follow us on Twitter, and just give us a big high five. A big fist bump.
Yeah, don't actually hit your screen. Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't hit your screen. No. We won't be held responsible for any laptops harmed in the making of this podcast.
Cool.
Bye. See you later. See you next week.
Goodbye, everyone.